You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas launches a new dental training program.
And today is America Recycles Day, and our very own Yana Tola is live in Pittsburgh to tell us more about this day.
And we are tracking some slick roads out there here and there, but we are going to dry out and it's still cold. We'll tell you when a warm-up's on the way coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A rollover crash in Mays County, Oklahoma leads to serious injuries. Just after 6 Monday evening, a 2018 Chevy Impala driven by J.C. Blackford of Locust Grove left Oakwood Road just south of Sycamore Lane in Pryor, Oklahoma, and struck a culvert. Her car then struck a sign, overturned 2.5 times, and hit a fence. The driver was ejected from the vehicle. Although equipped, the OHP says Blackford's seatbelts were not in use at the time of the crash. She was taken by Mays Emergency Services to St. Francis Hospital in Tulsa, where she was admitted in guarded condition with head, arm, and internal trunk injuries. Authorities charge a Lamar, Missouri business owner with the theft of thousands of dollars worth of payments and goods. The prosecutor is charging 54-year-old Dennis Masters with 4 counts of felony stealing in separate cases. Masters owns the Rustic Barn Flea Market in Lamar. Today, the United States celebrates America Recycles Day. KOAM's Yana Tola joins us live from the Southeast Kansas Recycling Center in Pittsburgh.
I think it's connected to mine, but I can't hear anything.
Have Yana ready there? There we go. We might get her here in a second, but it's important. Recycling plastics is a major problem in the United States, and Greenpeace's report from last year reveals the U.S. households generated 51 million tons of plastic waste in 2021. However, only 2.4 million tons of the waste was recycled, which is only about 5% of the entire amount. When plastics are recycled, they usually are melted to be used again.
We bring in used plastic, we heat it up, we vaporize it, and we have a phase change separation from all the fillers and dyes and inks that are in that plastic.
All right, to keep plastic from getting in the nature and the oceans, one of the small things that you can do is to stop purchasing single-use plastic and use refillable containers instead. Again, the Pittsburgh Recycling Center is opened on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and we challenge you to go check them out. Well, Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas is launching a new education program which lets students get paid hourly while they train for a new career. The Pediatric Dental Residency Program is a course which trains pediatric dental assistants at no cost. Now the catch, they have to agree to employment with CHC-SEK after completing the program.
We're interviewing right now for our first class. Will be in January, and it's a 12-week program. There'll be some clinical hands-on experience, book work, classroom work, testing, and then you'll be here in the building where you will work with other people.
Program begins January 2nd. Experts expect an uptick in deer-related crashes this time of year during deer season, which runs from October through December. There's a dramatic increase in the movement of the deer population, resulting in more deer vehicle collisions during this period than any other time of year. Local vehicle repair shop says there's been an increase in deer-related collisions.
Chance of that happening is the highest because we're in the deer mating season. It's called the rut, and what happens is you have bucks chasing does, so you have a lot of movement, and some of that movement goes across roads, across streets, across highways, and because of that, this is the time of year when people need to be on the lookout for deer crossing roads.
According to Missouri law, a person who has hit and killed a deer with their car may claim the deer carcass. However, this can happen only if written authorization to possess the deer is granted by a Missouri Department of Conservation agent.
Well, I forgot to update the Today in History, so I'm sorry about that, but we do have a traffic alert to warn drivers about I-49 southbound At the exit 102B, Osage Boulevard by Nevada is going to be closed for pavement repairs today from 9 to 2. There will be signed detours in place and drivers urged to find an alternate route. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear, which is a good thing. We're starting to see some of this fog burn off slowly but surely out to our east. But as you look up toward even Springfield, still some dense fog up there because we got some pretty low clouds out there, which you can see on our tower cam at 7th and Range Line. We're 34 right now. It feels like 27, so still on the chilly side, and it's going to be that way for a little bit. 35 Chanute, 34 in Parsons, 34 Lamar, and 34 in Carthage. We do have some slick spots out there from KDOT. You can see the roads in the western portions of southeast Kansas, highlighted in green, are a little bit slicker than normal, so do be cautious. And even the roads marked as clear still have a few slick spots, and that also translates to the Missouri side of things as well. As we head through today, we're heading for a high of 40 degrees. Clouds will start to clear out this afternoon and will be partly cloudy. Going into tonight, we will remain partly cloudy and get cold again, 24 for the overnight low. And then take a look at the 7-day forecast because things change just a little bit eventually. 35 tomorrow, so cold, absolutely. 21 for the low. 43 tomorrow, my goodness, 43 on Thursday, this day. 36 on Friday, 48 Saturday, and then look at Sunday and Monday. We start to warm up. In fact, as we look at the long-range forecast, look at these temperatures. They seem pretty mild, but they're actually about average for this time of year as we get back into the 50s, even the lower 60s, and we look at rain chances. So as you know, we've seen minor improvements on the drought tracker thanks to the rain that we have been receiving over the last couple of weeks here and there. We're hoping to see continued improvement on the drought tracker as things go on. But you can also see before we get warm, look at these cold nights and cold days ahead of us. And then look at this. We start to get back into the 40s and 50s for overnight lows. So it's nice to finally get back to something that's somewhat close to normal around the area.
Normal? That
Yeah.
would be
Normal.
That's unheard of here in the 4 states.
Tell me about it. Whoa!
Bye, Chris. Okay, we know we're not normal.
That was fun. That wasn't normal. Well, I don't know. For me, on some days, that's actually relatively normal. That was cool, Tim. Do it again. Tim's like, I didn't do anything on
He's
purpose.
like, don't ask that.
Poor
Don't ask
Tim.
that.
I'm just kidding. Tim is great, and I love Tim. He has done many great things for me, including this morning. Yeah, see, there it goes. That's kind of fun.
Goodbye.
I didn't want to hang out anyway. It's not fun to hang out, but yeah, no, normal. Boy, that is fun. I love it.
Let's stop that, Chris.
Okay. I'm trying to stop it. I'm just so full of energy this morning.
All right, well, up next, Carl Junction Air Department is stopping by. Show us a little magic of their own. Tell us about the upcoming production of Little Women.
And later, a Korean war soldier is finally laid to rest after 70 years. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Welcome back. It is theater season, and we here on the KOAM Morning News love to invite schools to come and promote their upcoming musicals and plays. And we have some of the cast members of Little Women here this morning, and super excited about this from Carl Junction High School. I've got Nathan Dean, Emily Zura, and Thatcher Gerard joining us this morning. And thank you again for coming in this morning. Okay, so this show starts on Thursday, but let's talk about it. First of all, have you guys read Little Women?
I have not, although I am wanting to for sure at some point. I just don't have time right now with the play.
Yeah. It was one of my childhood favorite books that I read. Well, maybe not as a little kid, but like the March sisters. Jo March was actually my favorite one of the sisters. And Emily, you are playing Jo.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about learning her role and developing your character as Jo.
Okay, so she's very much independent and outgoing to a sense. She doesn't care what anyone thinks about her. Unlike the rest of the sisters, she is very much completely different, and it was hard navigating how I was going to make this character when everyone else is just completely different from me. But I've learned it, and it's become so much fun.
She's a huge
huge
part of this. Yes, definitely. Okay, so Nathan, tell me about Professor Bear.
Professor Bear, it was fun. So Professor Bear is how I have been able to recognize him. A little bit uptight, but he is put together and just, he is very proper, I suppose. It's hard for me to describe. It wasn't particularly hard for me to get into the character itself, as I find myself quite similar to him. So describing him or myself I find quite difficult, but it's kind of a proper proprietariness and just back up, just speaking things the way they are, and yeah.
Okay, so for those, and I probably should have started with this, I apologize. For those who have not read the book or watched the movie, give us a real brief synopsis of Little Women.
Okay,
What to expect?
Really, it's about Jo and this book she's wrote. It starts off with her in New York with the professor in the boarding house. She's trying to sell her stories, but then it flashes back and it goes through the story of her life, essentially, with her 4 sisters, hence why it's called Little Women. And it's just all these, I guess I would say, kind of life lessons, maybe, or life experiences.
Kind of her coming of age story.
Yeah, coming of age story. And it just shows what real life is, I feel like. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about production dates. When is the show? And cost to get in?
The show is the 17th through 20th, starting
this Thursday.
It's this Thursday through this Sunday, yes. Starting, doors open at 6:30, and tickets will cost $5 for an adult or $3 for a student.
And showtime for Thursday, Friday, Saturday would be at 7, and then Sunday's a little different, though.
Sunday's a little bit different. The doors open at 2:30, but the show starts at 3.
All right, so you have that matinee option as well. Okay, and this is all located in Coral Junction at the Start
Yes.
Performing Arts Center?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, thank you guys for coming on. And I always have to say this, break a leg.
That we will.
Yes.
Not really, but yeah, we will be right back.
We're starting to see a little bit of patchy fog moving in to southwest Missouri, as you can see off in the distance from the MoDOT camera at I-44 Main Street. And we do have a traffic alert, too, for our friends in Vernon County. If you're doing some traveling on I-49 southbound, exit 102B at Osage Boulevard, it's going to be closed for pavement repairs starting at 9 a.m. today and until 2 p.m. There will be signed detours in place, and drivers are urged to find an alternate route. Skywatch Storm Tracker from the precipitation side of things is clear, but again, we've been dealing with the low clouds this morning, and we've had some dense fog off to the east. And I mean, take a look at the Springfield area, some very dense fog over there. But we're starting to see a little bit of fog start to overspread more parts of southwest Missouri, which you can see at 7th and Rangeline. We're not talking super dense fog, but some fog nonetheless, so do be cautious out there. 34 in Joplin right now, feeling like 27 degrees under cloudy skies. Cold across the area, 35 Chanute, 34 Parsons, 33 Pittsburgh, 36 Miami and Grove, 34 Neosho, and 32 in Monette. Now from the KDOT Traveler page, we do have some roads in the western portions of southeast Kansas that are marked as green, which means that they're a little bit slicker than what they usually would be after some precipitation. So do be cautious out here if you're doing some traveling this morning. However, even though these roads are marked as clear, doesn't mean that there's not a few slick spots out there, and the same goes for the Missouri side of things. They're listed as clear, but there could still be a slick spot or two, so do be cautious this morning. All right, 40 degrees is our high today. Clouds will start to clear out this afternoon and will be partly cloudy for the rest of the day, but a cool day for us and a very cold night ahead of us as we remain partly cloudy and temperatures drop back down to a very chilly 24 degrees. Now the sun has risen, which is a good thing, and it will set tonight at 5:08. So each day I update this, the days get shorter by about 2 minutes, which means we're getting closer and closer to the winter solstice. Now, 7-day forecast. We're cold tomorrow. 35 degrees for the high, 21 for the overnight low. As you can see, we stay dry, but we also stay cold for the next several days. But by the time we get into Sunday, take a look at that, 56 for the high and 36 for the low. So we're getting much closer to normal, even 55 on Monday. We get a brief cool down Tuesday and Wednesday back into the lower 50s. And by Thursday next week, we're looking at 61 for the high. And as you can see, starting Monday, we start watching some shower chances build in, which we absolutely need the rain. We've been seeing slight improvements on the drought tracker. We're not talking significant improvements, but we've been seeing some slight improvements. And of course, as we get more precipitation, we're hoping to see more improvements. But I was speaking with a local farmer on Sunday who said it's still going to take quite some time to get past this drought stage. So we do need a lot of precipitation to make that up. Still some cold days and cold nights to get through, but then as you see, as we head into next week, we do finally start to warm up. We got a lot more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 coming your way.
It's time to honor today's 4th State hero, Sergeant Jim Hensley. The Pittsburgh, Kansas native served for 20-plus years as part of the 891st Engineer Kansas National Guard. To Sergeant Jim Hensley, we thank you, today's 4th State hero.
Well, a soldier that served in the Korean War finally gets laid to rest 70 years later.
Stephanie Quirk has his story.
I am very fortunate to be here to help him. I mean, I was 3 years old when he passed away.
Arthur Zolik says he's still at a loss for words since he learned a few weeks ago that the remains of his uncle, Army Corporal William Zolik, were identified.
It was, like I say, mind-blowing to me almost. I still don't know how to react.
William was just 18 years old and serving in the Korean War in 1950 when he was reported missing in action. 3 years later, his family learned he died in a prisoner of war camp.
All his brothers are deceased already, so.
But while Arthur's father and uncles aren't here to lay William to rest, the Belvedere community is. Thursday, veterans, law enforcement, along with students across 11 schools paid their respects.
As Americans, we're obligated to honor our war heroes.
As the chairman of the veterans group Rolling Thunder, Wayne Kirkpatrick says he wishes he could bring more missing soldiers home. William is just one of more than 81,000 American soldiers still missing from war.
Keep our government looking for those remains and bringing those back to those poor families.
Kirkpatrick says Arthur is proof of how much it means to give a peaceful goodbye.
Never give up on finding a loved one.
Never give up.
No,
Yeah.
it's always important to honor those who served because many of them gave the ultimate sacrifice. So my dad, of course, served in the Navy for, 22, 24 years. And obviously was not killed in action, but he told a number of stories. There were certain things he wouldn't talk
Definitely.
about. So
both of my grandfathers and my father-in-law served in Korea, and well, my husband also served in Korea too, but not the same time, obviously. But yeah, lots of stories, and lots of stories that aren't being told either. So.
Right, there's certain things that they simply do not talk about, and that you understand. You have to understand. So I'll just end by saying I think one of the most interesting things I did is I requested my dad's service record. And because, like I said, there were parts he wouldn't talk about. And when I read through, I started to understand why there were things he would not talk about. Because, I mean, it wasn't detailed, but it gave me a clue as to this gap of information that he wouldn't share. So
Interesting.
We got some cold temperatures to share with you, though. We're also looking at some fog. You can see from the MoDOT camera at I-44 and Main Street, a little bit of fog out in the horizon. We're not talking dense fog by any means, but fog nonetheless, so do be cautious out there. And we do have a traffic alert for our friends in Vernon County around Nevada if you're traveling. I-49 southbound at exit 102B, Osage Boulevard. It's going to be closed for pavement repairs starting at 9 a.m. today and lasting until 2. There will be signed detours in place, and if you have another way around, you are urged to find that other way around. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear. As I mentioned, fog's been primarily to our east, but as you can see, some of it trying to build a little further to the west in southwest Missouri, but nothing too dense. Been dealing with low clouds all morning long, 34 in Joplin, feeling like 27 degrees. And temperatures across the region are cold. We got 32 in Yates Center, 33 Iola, 33 Pittsburgh, 34 Carthage, and 32 in Monette. Quick check of the Kansas road conditions. You can also see where this green area indicates some slick spots across the western edges of southeast Kansas. The black is clear roads, but just because it's marked as clear doesn't mean there aren't still a few slick spots out there. And same goes for Missouri, so do be cautious while you're driving. As we go through today, we're going to eventually see clouds break up a bit. We'll be partly cloudy by the afternoon with a cool high of 40 degrees. And tonight we get cold under partly cloudy skies, dropping back down to 24. We're only 35 degrees tomorrow, so very chilly. And we stay below average for highs and for lows for the next several days till we get to about Sunday, when we start to see average highs start to return. 56 on Sunday, 55 Monday, and rain chances building in next week too. Monday through Thursday next week, some shower chances are out there, but you can also see by Thursday we're getting back into the lower 60s, which seems mild, but that's right about where we should be for this time of year. And of course, overnight lows will comply as well and start to get closer to average next week as well. We got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29, almost 7:30. Joplin Parks and Rec Department is giving kids a chance to win a Thanksgiving turkey for the family. All you have to do is bring your kid to the Boys and Girls Club Gymnasium at 317 Camingo Avenue this Friday at 6 p.m. Now, kids from kindergarten through the 8th grade will have the chance to compete in a basketball free throw contest. Winners can receive a free Thanksgiving turkey or gift cards to Academy Sports and Outdoors. Pretty cool. Missouri deer hunters fared a little better in the opening weekend of firearms deer season this last compared to last year. Preliminary data from the Missouri Department of Conservation shows hunters killed more than 93,000 deer over the opening weekend, and that's compared to fewer than 90,000 in the opening weekend of the 2021 firearms season. Of those taken this year, more than 55,000 were antlered bucks. That's 800 more than for the same period last year. Missouri counties with the most deer killed on opening weekend were Franklin, Texas, and Callaway, in that order. Well, there are new fish at Gun Park Lake in Fort Scott, Kansas. On Monday, the Kansas Department of Fish and Wildlife restocked the trout in the lake for trout season. Season kicked off November 1st.
It's the fact that they like to get out. They love to be able to fish here. They love fishing, and they love to be able to fish here. And the opportunity to catch some trout like that close to home is very rewarding, and it really is a neat opportunity.
Anglers 16 and older will need an adult permit and a fishing license. Kids 15 and younger will only need a youth trout permit. Well, today the United States celebrates America's Recycling Day, and KOAM's Yana Tula joins us live from the Southeast Kansas Recycling Center in Pittsburgh, where it's now daylight. Yeah, good morning, Yana.
Good morning, Tanya, and thank you very much. We're live here in Pittsburgh in front of the Southeast Kansas Recycling Center. It is very important to think about the waste because there's a lot of waste that is generated in the U.S., especially the plastic kind. Plastics is a major problem in the United States. Greenpeace's report from last year reveals the U.S. households generated 51 million tons of plastic waste in 2021. However, only 2.4 million tons of this waste was recycled, which is only about 5% of the whole amount. When plastics are recycled, they are usually melted to be used again.
We bring in used plastic, we heat it up, we vaporize it, and we have a phase change separation from all the fillers and dyes and inks that are in that plastic.
To stop all of this plastic getting to the nature and the oceans, one of the things you can do is to get these reusable bottles, plastic or glass or any kind of bottles that you can use again. That will help a lot when you don't have to use this one plastic bottle and throw it away right after. I'm live in Pittsburgh, Janna Haudala, KOAM News.
Yana, obviously you're in front of the Southeast Kansas Recycling Center, but you can also go to the Joplin Recycling Center and recycle. How do you get involved, and when can you recycle at those places?
So if you want to recycle here in Pittsburgh or Joplin, you can go to their website and you can enroll to this thing where you get a bin at your door where you can put a lot of the materials, for example, plastic, cardboard, glass, I believe, and then they will come and collect that. It's a separate bin from your normal trash bin. Or you can go and visit one of the centers right here. You can visit the center. They are open on Tuesday and Thursday today from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you have some waste that you want to get rid of, you can come here and drop your plastics, for example.
All right, so on America's Recycles Day, you can recycle today at this SEK Recycling Center. Thank you so much, Yana. We appreciate it. Well, as we brace for colder weather in the four-state area, remember your furry friends are dealing with cold weather as well. Dogs, cats, and other animals can struggle during cold weather. despite having fur all over them, and short-haired animals are particularly sensitive to the cold.
Have to understand that all these breeds are man-made. We develop them for a certain area of the world for a certain job. Not everybody can grow the coat that they need to stay warm in our weather. So that is an important factor. The fact that they have a coat means nothing.
Prolonged exposure to cold weather can lead to health conditions or even death.
All right, quick check of the forecast for you this morning. We are cloudy and cold. 34 in Joplin, feels like 27. Temperatures across the region pretty chilly still. 35 Chanute, 34 Parsons, 35 in Chautauqua, and 34 in Neosho. Still dealing with some slick spots in the western portions of southeast Kansas. Those green highlighted roads are a little slicker than normal, so do be careful. And even though other roads are marked as clear, that doesn't mean there aren't some slick spots out there, and that includes Missouri. As we look to today, we're looking at 40 degrees for the high. Well, clouds will start to clear out. We'll be partly cloudy by this afternoon, partly cloudy tonight, and we'll drop back down to a cold low of 24 degrees. 7-day forecast shows where we've got a few more cold days and nights to get through, and then eventually we see a warm up by Sunday, 56, 55 on Monday as we return to average.
All right. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We are joined again by Charlene Patton with the Kansas Soybean Commission. Welcome back to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
You've had some just incredible recipes for us over the last several weeks, and you've got another great one for us today. What have you got?
Well, you know, do you like pumpkin pie?
I love pumpkin pie.
Well, for those people that love pumpkin pie, we have a pumpkin mousse. So it's like the filling of the pumpkin without the crust this time. Makes it an easy dessert to have, and really this is one you're going to want to keep in your recipe box and have all year long because it's such a quick, easy dessert. I've already made it up here, but what it is 1/3 cup of our soy cream cheese that we're going to blend with 3/4 cup of brown sugar. Pack that brown sugar, mix it until it's nice and creamy, and then we're going to add in 1 can of pumpkin. So this is pureed pumpkin with a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Mix that all together and you have this nice, creamy, airy recipe. And then to make it just a little more fluffy, I added whipping cream. So we're using a refrigerated frozen whipped topping today because it has a soy ingredient in it, but you could use any type of whipping cream, fold it in, and then to make this special topping, we're going to put some more on top. And then do you remember that we talked about those candied pumpkin spice nuts? Well, these nuts, I'll give you the recipe for it. It's 3/4 cup of our chopped pecans, 3/4 cup of chopped roasted salted soy nuts, and then we have sugar and 1 egg white that we've mixed together, 5 tablespoons of sugar. Mix that together and then put it in the oven at 350, bake it for about 10 minutes to start glazing it, stir it, and then bake it for another 10 minutes. But you've got a teaspoon of pumpkin pot spice in here too. And that gives it just a wonderful flavor. And then you're going to take about a tablespoon of it just to put on the top. Add that special decadent recipe. How does that look?
That looks amazing.
I'll let you try that there. And this particular recipe will actually make 6 servings that you can have. I would make it ahead of time where you can put it in the refrigerator and just make it nice and cold before you serve it. But it sure makes a wonderful mousse dessert. So if you're looking for a quick dessert to make for the holidays, this will work for even Christmas coming up.
Yeah, and that's perfect. I mean, and sometimes, you know, maybe you just want that pumpkin pie without the crust, and that's exactly what you're getting here.
That's right. We like to use pumpkin, and we kind of forget about it except in the fall and around the holidays.
Right.
But we have it available to us all year long, and it just makes a great, quick, easy recipe.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. That is absolutely delicious. Well, if you'd like this recipe or the recipe for any of the fine things that we've made so far here on the KOAM Morning News with Charlene, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and you'll find all the information you need to know right there. Charlene, thanks again so much for coming in. It's just, I mean, these are amazing recipes you keep making, and I'm looking forward to future recipes as well. I know they're going to be absolutely incredible.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, we've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. Well, we do have a traffic alert for those driving in Vernon County as I-49 southbound is going to be closed at exit 102B, that's Osage Boulevard, for pavement repairs. That closure begins this morning at 9 a.m., runs until 2 this afternoon. There will be signed detours in place, and drivers are urged to find an alternate route. Otherwise, Skywatch Storm Tracker looking pretty good. We're clear right now. We've been dealing with the low clouds this morning, and we have seen some denser fog out to our east. It's starting to lift and clear out, and we've seen a little bit of fog trying to build back into more of southwest Missouri, but nothing too dense to worry about. You can see the really low clouds out there. It just looks dark and dreary at 7th and Range Line. And with the temperatures, boy, it feels dark and dreary. 34 feels like 27 in Joplin right now. Across the region, we are on the cold side, which is no surprise here lately. 36 Nowata, 35 Chatopa, 36 Miami, 34 in Carthage, and 34 in Stockton this morning. And for our friends in southeast Kansas, we do have these green highlighted roads in the western portions of our area. That means that they are a little slicker than usual, so definitely take it easy. Prepare for some slick spots, but even the roads that are marked as clear still have some patchy slick spots, so do be careful, and that also applies to the Missouri side of things as well. So we go through the rest of today. The clouds will eventually clear out, and we'll be left with partly cloudy skies for the afternoon, the high of only 40 degrees, and tonight we get downright cold again. Partly cloudy skies as we drop back down to a low of 24. There we go. All right, so 35 tomorrow, so not very warm at all. We stay below average for our highs and lows, because a reminder, these highs are about where our lows should be. We'll stay in the 20s overnight, and then by the time we get into Sunday, look at that, 56 on Sunday, 55 on Monday, even some rain chances. As we head into next week, we see increasing rain chances. We also see increasing temperatures, bringing us slightly or a little closer to normal for this time of year. Well, at Consumer Watch this morning, the Biden administration student loan forgiveness program was dealt yet another blow on Monday, leaving 26 million applicants in limbo. Federal Appeals Court in Missouri is the latest to block it in response to a legal challenge filed by 6 Republican-led states. The Department of Education had stopped accepting applications after a judge in Texas blocked it as unlawful last week. Ahead of the busy holiday travel season, Department of Transportation says it has fined 6 airlines more than $7 million for extreme delays in refunding travelers. The department also announced that airlines have issued $600 million in refunds to customers for canceled or, quote, significantly changed flights since the start of the pandemic. DOT launched a customer dashboard recently to help travelers determine what they are owed if their flight is impacted. And according to multiple reports, Amazon is the next tech giant set to cut a substantial number of jobs as soon as next week. As many as 10,000 employees could be affected. Meanwhile, FedEx will temporarily furlough drivers starting next month, just before the holidays, due to lower than expected demand. We're going to be back with a lot more right after this, but first, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Well, the streets of Philadelphia were filled with thousands of runners on Saturday.
It was time for the annual Rocky Run in honor of the city's fictional favorite son, Rocky Balboa.
Brandon Goldner was there.
Arriving to Philadelphia from far and near.
We're from Warminster.
Tupelo, Mississippi.
Jersey City.
All these people want to do is go the distance.
Gotta challenge your body. Gotta push your body, see what you can do.
To know they aren't just another runner from the neighborhood.
Definitely makes you feel good, you know, like you did something.
It's the annual Rocky Run, named after Rocky Balboa. Where the only fighting here...
Cut me, Mick!
...is the fight to finish first. Many runners are inspired by Rocky's mindset and his wardrobe.
I've always loved Rocky. It's just a part of the family. I've grown up with it, and it's just a great atmosphere.
While plenty dressed up as the Italian stallion,
I must thank you.
Others, like Ken Pogorsic, were inspired by his rival.
I mean, I don't exactly look like an Italian with the blonde hair, so I figured who could I look like? I just went with Ivan Drago.
While he has blonde hair, he does have the eye of the tiger.
6 months ago, I had surgery to replace my ACL, and this was like my goal to get back into shape.
Like Rocky, he and all these runners at the finish line can proclaim, I did it.
I'm nothing special. I'm just a regular guy, but I went from having a major surgery on my knee to being able to run a 5K. So anybody who's out there who wants to, have fun with this kind of silliness, anybody can do it.
The run benefits the Special Olympics of Pennsylvania. Now, technically, the run up the Art Museum steps isn't part of the race, but a lot of runners say they just had to do it.
I'm so glad that he did his stand-up running up those steps.
That was really cool.
That is a bucket list item for me, not doing a stand-up running up the steps, just to run up those steps someday.
Yeah.
Like, someday. I've been to Philadelphia, too, and I didn't do that.
Well, next time you go, make sure
Yes.
you take time to run up the steps.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I will.
If you're doing some driving, we do have a traffic alert for our some of you on I-49 as I-49 southbound at exit 102B, Osage Boulevard in Nevada. I-49 southbound closed at that point for some pavement repairs starting today at 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be signed detours in place and drivers are urged to find an alternate route. Skywatch Storm Tracker is looking pretty clear right now, and so that's the way it's going to stay for a while. Low clouds have led to some foggy conditions out there. It's not as dense as it was earlier this morning, but still some patchy fog across the region, so be aware of that if you're out driving. 7th in range line looks good, 34 degrees right now, 27. I say it looks good. It looks cloudy. It looks dreary. I was lying to you. It doesn't look good at all. It is cold across the area, 35 Chanute and 34 Parsons, Pittsburgh, Lamar, Carthage, and Neosho, 35 Anderson, 32 in Monette. If you're doing some driving in southeast Kansas, our western counties have these green highlights on the road, and that's because they're a little bit on the slick side. So if you're driving in the western parts of southeast Kansas, do be aware of some slick spots. Now for the other half, where the roads are marked as clear, doesn't mean that there aren't still some slick spots out there, and that goes from Missouri too. So do be cautious driving today. We're heading for a high of 40 degrees, mostly cloudy skies up until about noon, 2 o'clock. It'll start to clear out, and we'll get partly cloudy skies for the rest of the day. We'll be partly cloudy as we head back into tonight, and we get cold. We're dropping back down to an overnight low of 24 degrees. And the cold spell is going to stick around for a little bit. Only 35 tomorrow. Yeah, that is cold. 21 for the low, 43 Thursday, 36 on Friday. So again, relatively cold. And then as we head into the weekend, 48 on Saturday, a little bit better. Much better Sunday at 56, 55 on Monday with some rain chances. And we'll hold on to rain chances for most of next week, but look at those temperatures. They're getting back to right about where they should be for this time of year. Overnight lows, though, getting a little above average as we start creeping up in the lower to mid 40s, even some low 50s out there as well. But at least we're getting back to normal for this time of year. And a real quick note, for those at home, we got 1/4 inch of snow in Joplin, and some of those western counties in Kansas, especially where the roads are highlighted green, picked up about 1 inch of snow last night. So not bad for our first little snow of the season. We're back with more right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Former President Trump is expected to make official today what he has teased for weeks, that he is running for president in 2024. He's holding a major event at his Mar-a-Lago estate this evening, but some in the Republican Party say he should not run after the GOP underperformed in the midterm elections, while others say he should at least wait until the runoff Senate election in Georgia. Well, NASA is counting down to another attempt at launching its most powerful rocket ever, with a 2-hour window opening early tomorrow morning. Artemis 1 was given the all clear after being checked for major damage following Hurricane Nicole. Technical issues derailed the first attempts. The test flight will boost an unpiloted Orion crew capsule around the moon and back. And police are investigating the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students as suspected homicides. Authorities in Moscow, Idaho, do not believe there's an active threat to the community. The town's mayor says the police are not giving out much information so they do not jeopardize the investigation.
We're mostly cloudy for the first half of the day, and then we'll get to be partly cloudy later this afternoon, heading for a high of 40 degrees. And then we are going to be cold tonight as we drop back down to 24 under partly cloudy skies. We hold on to below average cold temperatures, 35 tomorrow all the way through Saturday. And then by Sunday, we start to warm up a bit. We get back into the 50s as temperatures start to return to normal by next week.
Well, the post office is looking for volunteers to answer letters to Santa. Kids, put your earmuffs on.
Yeah, so kids, turn away from the TV, get to school. Once verified, these volunteers can look through letters that children have written to Santa.
When they find one that strikes their fancy, they purchase a gift for the writer and send it to them anonymously.
Really cool. Now, the program has existed for more than 100 years.
Now, anyone interested must register on Operation Santa's website and go through an identify verification process. That's cool.
That is very cool. I think that's great. And the fact that it's been going on for more than 100 years, I didn't know that.
I didn't even know the post office did that. That's really cool.
That is
really
awesome.
Cool.
That just great resources at the post office.
Yep, if you're looking for a way to volunteer, there you go.
Go check it out. Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We're back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
Ready, Dad?